Hello and a very warm welcome to Science Monitor, your weekly update on what is happening in the field of science, technology, research and innovation to change the S&T landscape of the country and impact your life. I am Smriti Rastogi. From an interesting study throwing light on the importance of topological defects in the active matter systems to India's first open source satellite developed by a young student. We have plenty in store for you, but first let's begin with the headlines. Mechanism that helps active systems escape transformation to glass can aid study of cancerous metastasis. Researchers find that topological defects in active matter assemblies prevent the system from jamming even at high densities. IIT Guwahati develops an innovative device to generate bioenergy by treating wastewater. The technology developed under DST-supported research can provide dual benefits. A student from Jammu develops India's first open-source satellite InQ. The 16-year-old prodigy Onkar Singh Batra already holds 5 world records. And remembering the indigenous S&T endeavors and innovations that made India a leader in the past 75 years. Science Monitor is paying tribute to 75 milestones of Indian innovation ecosystem. And now the stories in detail. While studying the behavior of artificial active matter in their lab, researchers from the Bengaluru-based Jawaharlal Nehru Center for Advanced Scientific Research and Indian Institute of Science have found that the mechanism that helps active matter particles escape transformation to glass can aid study of cancerous metastasis. For their experiment, researchers created an artificial active matter system using 3D printed particles and studied the behavior of their assemblies to understand the dynamics of the system. Let us see our report to know more about this research work.
When a liquid is supercooled, the particles in the liquid slow down dramatically, and by lowering the temperature further, the molecules stop moving altogether and turn into glass. However, while studying the glassy dynamics of an artificial active matter system, researchers Pragya Arora and Professor Rajesh Ganapathy from the Jawaharlal Nehru Center for Advanced Scientific Research and Professor Ajay Kumar Sood from the Indian Institute of Science found that in systems made of active elongated particles, swirling patterns can form even at very high densities. And these patterns help the system to elude the transformation to glass, as in various active matter systems made of living cells or bacterial colonies.
So what basically does active matter means? So you have a system which consumes energy from the environment and does some kind of work. We all have seen many active systems around us, so be it a flock of birds or colonies of ants or bacteria, or even we human beings are active. We consume energy through the food and we convert it into some form of motion to move. So I have been trying to mimic to make these active particles in the laboratory in a controlled manner, so that I can study collections or assemblies of these particles in the lab and see how they behave.
This has been made possible through a grant that I received as part of a Swarna Jayanti Fellowship from the Department of Science and Technology about 6 years ago. And this grant has allowed us to set up, to the best of my knowledge for the first time, an apparatus in which we can 3D print active matter and also now study these 3D printed active particles in a very controlled setting. The reason we chose elongated particle is also because if you look at these epithelial sheets, like living cell sheets, the particles have a little bit of elongation. They are not perfectly circular objects.
The team chose a system of vibrated granules for their experiment. They used millimeter-sized rice-like particles fabricated by 3D printing, and these particles were made self-propelled by placing them on a plate with vertical vibrations. Learning from their earlier studies, the researchers altered the symmetry of the particles to make them self-propelled under vibration. The activity of the particles was imaged from above to see how the collections of the particles behave. The researchers were intrigued to find that even at higher densities, most active particles spontaneously coalesced into swirls. Through their observations, the researchers found that these swirls were mediated by flaws in the packaging of the particles. These flaws are called topological defects, and they are known to be motile or mobile.
So these are elongated particles. So when you pack them close enough, you will find that there are certain places in the field of view where the particles are not having the same alignment. Okay. Now these sort of regions are called as topological defects because they are defects literally in the alignment of the particles. Now there were early studies which had shown that these defects are in fact motile. So motile, that I mean they can themselves act like an active particle. In these sort of elongated active matter, these defects themselves can move. Now when we looked at our videos, we found that these defects, these topological defects, were in fact the reason why the glass was able to relax even when we were at very, very high densities. Something that a passive glass would never be able to do.
According to researchers, since such motile defects are known to play a role in the human body's defense against precancerous abnormal cells, their study could provide a tool for probing cancerous metastasis. Recently published in the journal Physical Review Letters, this study can shed light on the fundamental biological processes where such motile defects are critical players.
Researchers from the Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati, have developed a technology to generate green energy during wastewater treatment. The new technology offers the dual benefit of bioelectricity generation and wastewater treatment. Developed under a program supported by the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, this innovation can be helpful in solving the problem of water and power management in India, which has a rapidly growing urban population. Here is a Science Monitor report.
A growing population and rapid urbanization bring the twin problem of an exponential increase in energy demand and the need for better wastewater management. To add to this, there is the increased environmental impact too. Keeping this in mind, several measures are being undertaken, including the development of renewable and sustainable energy generation technologies. Along with several renewable energy sources, the sustainable energy sources also include the blue energy sources of energy harvesting. These sources of energy generation have no negative impact on the environment, and energy is generated from various wastes such as sewage waste and food industries wastes. In a big step towards using blue energy sources, researchers from the Department of Chemical Engineering, Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati have developed a bioelectrochemical device. This device, called the microbial fuel cell, treats wastewater and produces green energy. Developed under a research program funded by the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, this technology can provide dual benefits of renewable energy generation and an efficient wastewater management system.
One of my research students, Mr. Mukesh Sharma, and myself jointly work with some PhD projects. This is a generation of energy from wastewaters. So this energy is a blue energy, and we have developed that bioelectrochemical devices. Basically, this is a microbial fuel cell, and that can generate green energy by treating wastewater. This is simultaneous wastewater treatment as well as generation of energy.
The microbial fuel cell developed by Indian researchers is a bioelectrochemical reactor system that uses electrons liberated during the biochemical oxidation of organic substrates induced by microbes, that is anaerobic bacteria that live in the absence of oxygen, to convert them into electrical energy. The device consists of an anaerobic biotic anode chamber, an aerobic biotic or abiotic cathode chamber, and a separator such as proton exchange membrane. The focus of the present research was on the development of cost-effective and high-performance membranes for application in MFCs. For this, the researchers used sugarcane waste to reduce the cost of proton exchange membranes.
Specialized membrane which is designed by our team is placed over here. What is the property of the membrane is it allows only it preferentially allows protons to pass through the anode to the cathode. What happens? The protons which are produced by anaerobic oxidation of the organic matter, it passes from anode to cathode via this membrane, and the electrons, they flow through the external circuit. As we can see clearly, the current is being produced.
In the anodic chamber, active biocatalysts oxidize the organic matter present in the wastewater to produce electrons and protons. Protons are brought into the cathodic orbital through the proton exchange membrane, while an electrical circuit is made by conducting electrons through an external circuit. At the cathode, these electrons and protons react in the presence of oxygen, which turns into water. Following this success, work is on to develop a pilot plant on a large scale. This technology development has provided an excellent sustainable energy source along with a more efficient wastewater treatment system. It can be utilized in municipalities and other public spaces.
A 16-year-old student from Jammu, Omkar Singh Batra, has developed India's first open-source orbital satellite. Omkar is known for his extraordinary talent and has many innovative achievements to his credit because of his interest in science. Over the years, he has received several honors, including the National Bal Shakti Puraskar for writing a book on theoretical science and won accolades for being the youngest web developer. Here is a Science Monitor report on this prodigy.
Meet Omkar Singh Batra, a resident of Jammu who at the young age of 16 has once again brought laurels to the country and his home of Jammu and Kashmir. Omkar has many feathers in his cap, and recently he has created a record for developing India's first open source satellite. His invention is a 1U CubeSat named InCube. Omkar has developed this satellite under the banner of the Paradox Sonic Space Research Agency, a non-profit research organization founded by him.
This is the InCube, which is the first open source satellite of India. Today we have the prototype over there, which is very similar to what the actual satellite does. The size of the satellite is as small as something, a box, and you can hold it in your palm. So it's like one unit cube, like it's 10 by 10 by 10 centimeter small cube satellite. Just in 10 by 10 centimeter box that can really do plenty of things in space. So we are doing a new technology demonstration.
The InCube orbital satellite developed by Omkar is planned to be launched on board ISRO's PSLV later this year. Seeing his talent, the region's MP and Union Minister of Science and Technology, Earth Sciences, and also for the Department of Space, Dr. Jitendra Singh, has helped him to get in touch with the Department of Space.
I visited the Department of Space New Delhi in September 2021, yeah, that is last year. So we discussed about the project. That time the project was in a very preliminary stage. Now the project is completed and we are awaiting its launch, or what should I say, inauguration by the Minister of Space. But that time it was in a very preliminary stage and they were all very supportive. They were like, you can just make out the data, you make out the technicalities and send out to us and we will help it out for you. And they are literally supporting us, like offering us free launch, giving us, all those ISRO services. Like after the privatization of space, these things have grown up, and me as a student who don't have access to a lot of funds, so I think this was a great opportunity and we are totally supported by ISRO, and thank you ISRO for that.
Omkar has had a keen interest in science and technology from a very young age. He grew up seeing his father working on computers, which aroused an interest for technology in him. Seeing his love for technology, his parents gifted him a laptop to encourage him to pursue his passion. Omkar published his first book titled When the Time Stops at a very young age. The book won him the title of world's youngest theoretical author. Omkar also holds the record of being the youngest web developer after developing a website at the age of 7. And by the time he was 15 years old, Omkar began work on building the InCube orbital satellite.
In 2020, I was just surfing internet and I got to know about CubeSats, and that excited me a lot. And when I searched about it, on the second day I was like, I have to do something now. So I started this. I started searching stuffs. So it took me like 2 years just to research this, and this is the third year actually, and we are prototyping things.
Omkar Batra, who holds 5 world records, was awarded the Bal Shakti Puraskar in 2020 for his excellence in the field of scholastic.
The 75th year of independence is a milestone for the country for many reasons, and it is important to recall the endeavors that led to S&T's development and innovation across all fields in the country. Doing our bit, we are bringing to you the path-breaking achievements, innovations and policy changes over this 75-year journey, which has proved to be crucial milestones towards creating our strong and self-reliant nation. Here is a part 3 of this series.
We have introduced you to some path-breaking innovations and policies going back from 2022 to 2017. Today, let's talk about 2015-16 going back to 2013. A significant initiative, Startup India, was launched by the Government of India to strengthen the startup ecosystem and make it easier for entrepreneurs to bring new ideas to life. Under this, the government provides benefits such as financial assistance, networking opportunities, ease of working, and tax exemption to new entrepreneurs and innovators. Startups are the basis for the commercialization of innovative ideas, technology, and products, which help in the economic growth of a country and generate new jobs. Another significant revolution brought by the Government of India is the launch of the Digital India campaign in the year 2015. The campaign aims to make all government departments and services available online to every citizen in the remotest corners of the country using technology. This campaign has made public services quicker, more accessible and transparent, especially in rural India. Rural areas have also been connected to high-speed internet under Digital India. The initiative has benefited both the consumer and the service provider. In 2015, National Supercomputing Mission was launched to enhance the research capacities and capabilities in the country by connecting them to form a supercomputing grid with National Knowledge Network as the backbone. The NSM is setting up a grid of supercomputing facilities in academic and research institutions across the country. The mission is being jointly steered by the Department of Science and Technology and the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology and implemented by the Centre for Development of Advanced Computing, Pune, and the Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru. Under NSM, to date, 15 supercomputers have been installed across the nation with an aggregate compute capacity of 24 petaflops. An indigenously developed server platform called Rudra is being tried out in a pilot system with an interconnect for internode communication called Trinetra also having been developed. The Skill India campaign was launched in the year 2015 as the Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana. Under this scheme, youth who have left their studies after 10th or 12th or even earlier are being made employable by teaching them skills. As part of Skill India, free technical training is given to the youth in various trades. Training centers have been opened across the country, enabling candidates everywhere to register for training. Talking about the year 2014, the Make in India program launched by the Government of India opened new pathways for Indian industry. The objective of the program was to transform the country into a global center of investment, manufacturing, infrastructure development and innovation. Focused on the construction sector, the program has promoted entrepreneurship from small to large-scale industries. Another major achievement came in the year 2013, with India making its own indigenous aircraft carrier, INS Vikrant. This state-of-the-art warship built by the Cochin Shipyard Company has recently been inducted into the Indian Naval Fleet. The ship will operate fighter aircraft MiG-29K, Kamov 31 helicopters, MH-60R multi-role helicopters. The ship has over 2,300 compartments and can carry a crew of 1,700 people. ISRO took the Indian space program to newer heights by launching its ambitious Mars Orbiter mission on 5th November 2013. Mangalyaan launched aboard PSLV C-25 from the Satish Dhawan Space Center in Sriharikota successfully reached the Mars orbit on 24th September 2014. With this, India became the first country to reach Mars in its very first attempt. Prior to this, Russia, NASA and the European Space Agency have been successful in sending spacecraft to Mars. However, what made the Indian mission extremely special was that it was the cheapest Mars mission ever. In 2013, innovation was added as a critical element in the fourth S&T policy of the nation. The policy urges the Indian scientific community, both in the private and public sectors, to focus on accelerated, sustainable and inclusive growth for the masses through science, technology and innovation. The objective of this policy is to bring all the benefits of STI for national development, sustainable and more inclusive growth. It paved the way for promoting science and technology-led innovation in the country by attracting private sector contributions into the R&D ecosystem. These achievements and endeavors highlight the robust and fast-growing innovation ecosystem in the country. In the next part of the series, we will look at some more pioneering innovations.
And now let's have a quick look at some other developments that have made news in the field of science and technology in our segment, Science Express.
An online webinar was organized to promote the recently launched Call for Proposals for International Research and Training Group between DST and the German Research Foundation, DFG. Addressing the program, Secretary of the Department of Science and Technology Dr. Chandrasekhar said that India and Germany need to align the priority areas with the scientific importance. These areas include sustainable energy technologies, environment and clean technologies, bio-based economy, bio-based materials for different applications, food and agri-technologies, affordable healthcare, technologies for advanced manufacturing and integration of AI and machine learning in all domains. DFG President Professor Katja Becker said that the Indo-German partnership will build strong research collaborations through data analysis to address global challenges. This program will not only achieve a greater objective, but will also train and build capacity among scientists and researchers in such a way that it will play an important role in meeting other scientific challenges of the future. Researchers from the S. N. Bose Center for Basic Sciences, an autonomous institute of the Department of Science and Technology, have used machine learning techniques to develop a design map of alloys at the nanoscale, which can help predict the match of pairs of metals that can form biometallic nanoalloys. These nanoalloys are also known as core shell nanocluster alloys. In this, one metal forms the core and the other remains as a shell on the surface. This study can be called a novel discovery in the search for new materials and can be used for applications in biomedicine and other fields. As such, it is important to know the conditions under which core shell structures form in nanocluster alloys and which metal forms the core and which one stays on the surface as a shell. There are 95 metals of different categories in the periodic table, which can potentially form 4,465 pairs. It is impossible to determine experimentally how they behave in forming nanocluster alloys. But computers can be programmed to predict the behavior of these pairs through machine learning. According to the top 500 list of the world's most powerful supercomputers, Frontier, a supercomputer built using Hewlett-Packard Enterprise architecture and equipped with advanced micro-devices processors, has become the world's fastest supercomputer. In 2020, this position was occupied by Fugaku, a supercomputer jointly developed by RIKEN and Fujitsu Limited, built for the US Department of Energy's Oak Ridge National Laboratory. Frontier has reached landmark benchmark score of 1.1 exaflops, making it the world's first supercomputer to break the exascale speed barrier. While Fugaku, installed at the RIKEN Center for Computational Science in Kobe, Japan, has a landmark benchmark score of 442 petaflops.
And that is all in today's edition of Science Monitor. Keep sending your feedback and suggestions through email. Our email ID is indiascience@vigyanprasar.gov.in. You can also write into us at Vigyan Prasar, A50, Sector 62, Noida 201309, Uttar Pradesh. So we'll take your leave now. See you again next week. Till then, stay safe and think scientifically.